Hey guys, so I just wanted to do a quick video on some changes that we anticipate on making this year for our homeschool. We have for the past 2 years been using Bob Jones University. We've been doing the distance learning and we've also done the DVDs. We did that in a season where we needed the extra help. I was pregnant, just several other things that led us to do that. It wasn't always the goal to do that all the time. We were going to kind of continue to evaluate it yearly. So usually around the first of the year, when we start thinking about financial goals, budgets, things like that, Braxton and I will usually have a business meeting. And we actually did have that business meeting, and we discussed what we had been doing this last year for homeschooling. Was it working? What we wanted to do, and at that time we had actually decided to continue with another year of the Bob Jones DVDs, and we were looking at a pretty hefty tuition bill, and we have always been the type of that we're really willing to spend the money that we need to give our kids a quality education, because after all they are eternal souls that we are held responsible for. So with that being said, Braxton had mentioned a couple of times that he would like for us to go more of a traditional route of doing more parent-led homeschool curriculum, and that honestly terrified me. I had kind of finally gotten into a groove with keeping up with the house and keeping things under control, keeping up with laundry, making sure that dinner was getting cooked, those kinds of things, and the thought of having to teach 3 different kids, 3 different grade levels was really stressful. I have several friends who have 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 kids, and they do it, so I kind of started to just pray about it and really remind myself that the Lord is in charge of our school, and I'm not. Sorry, got interrupted. So I try to remember that the Lord leads our homeschool, not me. Even though I make these decisions, and even though I make these decisions with my husband and he approves them and he deals with all these things, I have to remember that I need to do what the Lord wants in the homeschool, not necessarily what I want or what's convenient for me or what I feel is making things easier on me. So I really began praying about these decisions. And I had listened to a podcast by Amy Roberts about corporate homeschooling and how she combined certain subjects for multiple grades, and how she does that and accomplishes that, and what curriculum she uses for that. That caused me to begin to research curriculum. I had gotten a catalog in the mail from Master Books. I had used Master Books in the past, but it just didn't work for us. We were at a time where, my daughter, she would basically read the book assignment and then she'd do the worksheet, and she was just really bored with it. So we ended up not doing that anymore. But they had added a bunch of new resources, and so we looked through the catalog, and I kind of had written down an idea of, what we could do. Like how we could do a corporate history, how we could do a corporate science mainly. Obviously the children need their own individualized English and reading and math, because we're going to be having a 6th grader, a 2nd grader, and a kindergartner. So we were working on kind of figuring those things out, and I had kind of planned for a bunch of just, okay, let's do Master Books. It's affordable, it's good quality, it's got the biblical worldview, it's got great, I've always loved the books that go with the curriculum for Master Books. I love them. Every time we go to the Creation Museum in the Ark, I end up buying a bunch of books, and stuff like that. But then I had remembered that I had gotten some Apologia books, on a homeschool curriculum group, and I had gotten them for really cheap, and I pulled those out, and once again, Amy Roberts, I listen to a lot of Amy Roberts. I watched a video that one of my best friends, Brittany, actually had sent me on Apology of Science. And I already have the books. All I need to buy is the notebooks. I could let them do their own notebooking, but I think for this first year, at the very least, I would like to go ahead and get them the notebooks. I'm at least going to do that for our up and coming 6th grader. I haven't fully decided if I'm going to have our kindergartner and our 2nd grader do that with me. It would make it easier, but what I could do, and what I'm kind of up in the air about, is I could have my 6th grader do Apologia by herself, and then I could do Master Books God's Design for Life for beginners with my kindergartner and my 2nd grader. So I'm still having that corporate schooling time with those two, and then the next year I could maybe have them join in on Apologia. Undecided about that. Those final details will be, I will be doing individual videos for each kiddo as we unbox curriculum and we get it pieced together. Those will be coming later in the year. So I also thought about doing master books for science. Once again, I could do that corporate schooling with my kindergartner and my 2nd grader, where I'm doing, the My Story #1 with the two of them. And I decided against that. I decided actually to do Mystery of History for all 3 kids. Because then they can all sit there. It has the different levels of work that they can do. So we are decided on that. I actually just ordered that on sale from Christian Book. So the things that are going to change primarily is our history and science. All of our kids will be doing BJU for math. I admittedly am not very math inclined. That's kind of one of the big setbacks that my mom and my dad both had when we talked about homeschooling, was that I really struggled with math as a kid. And honestly, that drove me even further into wanting to homeschool, because I wanted my kids to be able to have that time to pause and master the skill. And I did not have that when I was in public school. I fell behind and the teacher did not help me catch up. We are also going to maintain using the BJU English program. Emmeline, our 6th grader, is actually going to break off and do a different program. I'm pretty confident in her sentence diagramming and all those kinds of things. I want her to start doing book reports, research papers, things like that. I want her to start actually applying all this stuff. And so we're looking into writing strands for her, but once again, that's not final. We may do something different. But Chloe and Lucas, our kindergartner and our 2nd grader, will be doing the BJU English videos. Chloe did the BJU phonics last year, and she has become a very, very, very strong reader. And so I want to continue that program with Lucas as he goes into kindergarten this next year. Some other things that are going to change is that Emmeline is going to do BJU for spelling, and so is Chloe. And Chloe is going to continue the reading program through BJU, but our plan is to not continue that with Emmeline. Emmeline has, this 6th grade would be the last year that she would do the BJU. And she's a very good reader, and she's also really got the concepts of grasping the literature and picking out the worldview and the things that BJU is trying to teach. So this next year, I'm going to focus on assigning Emmeline a lot of books for her to read and talking to her about those books. Chloe will also continue with the BJU handwriting. And so, like I said, nothing is completely set in stone yet other than the Mystery of History and the Apologia for Emmeline. But the biggest change that is coming for our school year this next year is that we are going to be going from all video teaching to parent-led and some videos. And that when they're upstairs in the schoolroom doing their videos, it will still give me time to do my things throughout the day. And we're all going to be able to come together for that corporate schooling time, and learn together and, enjoy the joys of homeschooling. One of the other big reasons why we've made this decision is that we want to free up the kids' time. As Emmeline has progressed further into the BJU, the more time it is taking, and the same has started with Chloe as well. She did the K-5 program last year, and she's in the first grade program this year. The K-5 took her an hour and a half to 2 hours last year, and now her school's taking her anywhere between 4 to 5 hours. And so that's a lot of time for a first grader. And we want the kids to have the freedom to go outside. We have this beautiful piece of land. We want to start homesteading, and all of that kind of stuff. And so we really want to free up more time for them to do more interest-based learning. Something that is going to stay the same is that we are going to continue using our wisdom booklets for our Bible time. And we are going to be starting to do the Apologia worldview curriculum together. I'm really excited about that. I do need to get the notebooks for that. But all in all, these changes, while it's still kind of ebbing and flowing and not sure specifically exactly what we're going to do, still working out the logistics, the money that we're going to save this year is astronomical. We're looking at probably $1,200 to $1,500 worth of savings by making these choices. And like I said, Braxton and I are more than willing to spend that kind of money. But if we can do things in a way that glorifies God and is what God wants to do with our school, not necessarily what we want to do with our school, then that's what we need to do. So like I said, I'm going to do specific unboxing kid videos later in the year as I get everything. We'll have to wait for our BJU to come in the mail and stuff like that. We are currently in day like 70 or 80 in BJU, so we still have about 100 days left of school, and that's not including days that we take off. So we do still have quite a bit of time left in our school year. My goal is to be done with school before we go to family conference in June. That may not happen, and that's okay. But I would look forward to, hopefully by June or July, I will have individual videos for what we're doing for each child. So all in all, the big change for us this year is we are going to be weaning off the videos. We're going to have Mom come out of her comfort zone. The kids are really excited about it. When we started talking about this, they were really pumped. They really desired for that. They wanted Mom to be more involved, and deep down inside, I wanted to be too.
It's you, Jibber Jabber.